Today, we are going to be giving ourselves a challenge and try to find at least 3 products that are generating $3,000 per month. And we're going to basically try to do this in the next 30 minutes. And we're going to try to find the product in 10 minutes. So we'll give ourselves a little bit of time to discuss through what we're doing. What I would like to do is really just open up the dashboard, dig through, show people also how you can really thumb through products using, I like to say, like little hacks that we've developed using the filters and being able to kind of weed through and find these products. Now, I will say, you're going to want to do this for your own niche, or if you're not doing it for your own niche and you just want to get ideas, you could do it for a bigger niche or a niche that you're not in. And then you can look at that and go, oh, that type of product is selling. I wonder if I can take a product or a design and put on that type of product. So that's really what I want to do here. All right. So with that being said, Chris, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So I'm going to go ahead and we're pulling up right now the product analytics, and this is the actual app. Okay, so if you are using the Everbee extension, the Chrome extension, you're basically going to be opening Etsy, and then you're going to be seeing a skin that kind of lies over top of everything, and you'll see some numbers underneath them. I think that's fine. I think this here allows us to do better searches as far as like filtering down to what we actually want. Now, last week here on our live stream, we went into the shop analyzer, which is really, really helpful. We might even play around with that again today. But I wanted to just jump into the product analytics, and I wanted to kind of show you our process. All right. And how we can kind of get to those numbers that we're looking for very, very quickly, instead of just looking at like all of the products, right? Because that could be like, well, it can be overwhelming, but it can also be misleading because you might have a shop that's been around for 7 years and that listing's been around for 7 years and they're dominating that product. And you might think, oh, cool, that thing's really selling, so I'm going to try to sell against them. There's actually a better way of doing this where we can kind of look at the competition at a little bit lower competition because they haven't been selling as long, or because the listing is younger, things like that. And so then we can really, really use the filters that are built in. So that being said, if we were just looking at product analytics, like you said, Chris, we're just going to jump in here and we're like, all right, show us everything, right? So we're going to go in here and we're going to see everything, right? It's just kind of all thrown in to kind of like this big lump of like a whole bunch. And we can sort by monthly revenue, monthly sales, by price, total sales, reviews. And if we slide over, we get a lot more intel too. We get favorites, we get average reviews, average views, we get, or all the views, we get the category, number of tags being used. So, I mean, it's a lot, right? They're really, really unpacking conversion rate, digital listings. I mean, you can see there's a lot, right? A ton. So what I would do and what I want to do just to kind of kick things off here is I want to go in here. And, well, okay, let's do this first, Chris. Let's scroll over here and let's say we did want to look at everything, but we're like, you know what? We want to look at shops that are only 18 months or newer. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to filter, and then we are going to look at where it says, like, usually what you're going to do here is you're going to scroll and you're going to see that little filter tab on top kind of hovers with you. So you have listing age. Okay. Or you can keep going and you'll get the shop age. So if we kind of keep coming over here, believe it's over here. I might have passed. Oh no, there it is. Shop age, right? So if I wanted to just go, okay, let's just look at shop age max 18 months. So let's just put in 18. It's going to automatically update. And then we are going to see that these are all shops that are 18 months or less. Okay. And then we can start to play around and go, okay, now this is not per niche. This is just like all the products that are selling. And then I can sort here. I can say, okay, total sales. I'm going to sort by this. And this is saying, okay, there's 72,000 for this one right here. And this was personalized travel jewelry box. Okay. That's the product. So right off the bat there, you can go, okay, well, that one there is selling well, and it's 18, this shop is 18 months old. So if we want to get a little bit more intel on that, we can click here and then it'll pull this open and then we can see a little bit more. So it's had over a million views, 8,116. And it says right here, the listing age is 17 months. And let's see here, shop details. We can go right here and then it shows us 18 months, right? And like, if we look at this here a little bit further down, we can see this is the trend. Okay. So this is their sales trend that they've had. And then you can see also the tags that are being used, which is very helpful. Anything you want to add here, Chris, before we keep plowing through here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing looking at this is if you're looking from the product standpoint, using it this way makes a lot of sense. And we get to see the sales and the revenue. And Scott, I know we talked about $1,000 products, or products that can make $1,000 a month. Are you looking at that and seeing monthly revenue higher than 1,000, or are you looking at that from a profit perspective? So
yeah, that's a great question. So you and I talked a little bit before we got on here. We're like, you know what? Most people are like, I want to make $1,000 per month, right? And so for us, it's like, okay, let's kind of do some math here. And we just kind of threw out a number, you know, depending on how much the profit margin is, $3,000. You know, if you're doing $3,000, and you're netting 30% after all is said and done, that's just under, right, Chris? Just under $1,000, right?
We have to make 33%, but let's not be nitpicky about it because you and I like just using nice round numbers, right?
Yeah. So we're just gonna play with $3,000, and we're gonna say that that's gonna get us close to $1,000. Now, this is just for one product, right? And I'd like to know in the comments too, like, what is your target right now? Like, what would you want to walk away profit-wise and be realistic, right? I know there's going to be some people that'll be watching this maybe even later and being like, I want it to be $10,000 and you just started 30 days ago, right? Like, be realistic. Like, what's a number that you're like, if I can make, you know, $1,000 a month profit, or if I can make 3,000, like whatever it is, just drop it in the comments. I'm just curious to see where you guys are at. All right. But to refine this even more, Chris, what I would do is, now that we have this already kind of narrowed in on, okay, these shops are younger because they're under 2 years old, 18 months.
Right. And that's the only filter we've put on this so far.
It's the only one. Yeah. It's the only one. And then if we go, okay, I'm not going to look at monthly sales. I'm going to look over here, monthly revenue. And I'm going to say, I want this to be, and I'm just going to say $3,000. This is going to be max. So I'm just saying, like, I only want to see the ones that have maxed out at $3,000. All right. So if we're looking here, I got to sort it again. Let me.
So to be clear, Scott, you put that in as the maximum, meaning they're selling less than $3,000 a month, correct?
3,000 or less. Yes.
Right.
So I'm going to show you how we can kind of play with this though. So some people be like, well, don't you want to see stuff that's more than that? Yes. But I also want to see people that are kind of like at that and under. But then what I could do is I can say, okay, let's do this. Let's say we want max revenue to be 10 grand and we want the minimum, as soon as that updates, we want the minimum to be $3,000. So now we're going to see that. See? So now, to your point, Chris, we're not limiting ourselves, but we're also not going to look at the stuff that's doing more than that, maybe, because we're like, if they're doing that much volume, it's going to be hard to compete, even if they are new. Right? And Chris, why would that be? Why would it be harder to compete with someone that's doing 10 grand or more versus someone that's doing between 3 and 10?
Yeah. So a lot of where the ranking would come in comes down to velocity, right? So if we're trying to take a share of that and there's more than, let's just say that one person has a runaway product, maybe that's not validated under what we talk about anyway, right? But if there's a handful of people that are doing, let's say $50,000, we'd have to get close to that volume to even have a chance of ranking organically. Additionally, if you're just getting started, right? Like if you're looking at this as a new Etsy business owner, you don't want $1 million product right off the bat because you're trying to figure out how to ship, how to do customer service, how to do all of those kinds of things. And so if your goal is a little bit short of that, it actually gives you more opportunity. Additionally, Scott, looking in this range, this $3,000 to $10,000 range, there's 3,400 products in this range, or 3,400 listings. Maybe there's some repeats in terms of the actual products. And if there is, Scott, if there's a few repeats in these products, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So let's just say out of these 3,400, there's 3,300 products. But one of the ones we see 2 or 3 listings in this range for. Would you consider that to be a good sign, or would you consider that to be something that's overly competitive?
I think that's a good sign because it shows that there's more people in taking a share. And it's like, you don't just have 1 or 2 that are just outliers that are just, crushing it. So to me, it validates like, oh, this person's selling 100 a month. This person's selling 200 a month. This person's selling 50 a month. Like it shows you there's a little bit of, uh, diversification, I guess, in like other people that are selling. So this way here, it's like, there's more opportunity there for you. And it gives you more, I guess, hope that, okay, I guess I can probably go in there and compete,
Right.
you know? Um, so with that being said, so again, we can keep playing with these filters. The other thing I might want to do is go, you know what? Let's put in here that I want the minimum price to be $25. And now let's see what happens. All right, cool. So now
Is there a particular reason you're doing that, Scott?
Yeah. Well, because I think we all know, like, if you're going to make a certain amount of money, yes, you can make it up on volume, but it's easier to do it if you can do it for something that's more expensive, right? And so also, this is also probably going to weed out a lot of digital products, right? Because digital products, for the most part, are going to be under 25 bucks. So that's another reason why we would do that. So yeah, so if we're looking at these right now and we're coming across here and I'm like, oh, I can sort again. So I sorted by monthly revenue here, right? But I can also sort here by sales. And so this one here, it looks like that's a complete mock-up bundle. So that is digital products, by the way, but they're doing a massive bundle. But then here we are with this, a nativity scene. Obviously around the holidays, it's going to do well. Then you got here, custom pet blanket. Okay. Probably a product for the pet market, right? And then here we are with another one. This is, let's see, they didn't burn witches. This is probably a spin. I'm thinking maybe not. No, probably not. This is probably just a witchy type shirt. I was thinking because the new movie Wicked is out. I thought I saw one that someone was creating a Wicked shirt, which you don't want to do, by the way. Then you have a birth flower personalized journal. Then you have here is let's see here. It's probably going to be something along the lines of like I don't know what it is, but it's probably like a singer or
looks like Marvel, which again is not something you want
exactly
you want to be
doing. Tennessee football shirt. Then we have custom cufflinks. And then we have again another mock-up shop. And then we have here custom embroidery. And then we have that's probably not gonna do well now, but it probably did well in the past because it's kind of over with. We have again the MAGA, right? That's probably not going to do as well now as it did before. Then we have a personalized tractor nightlight. Okay, that's for a kid's room. That looks Christmas related. So as you can see, I'm just kind of thumbing through, but I'm doing this after I've already filtered everything down. So this would be an opportunity that if you're looking for a niche, this might help you, but it also could help you to be like, oh, journals, right? You're like, oh, journals are a thing. I wonder if I can create a journal for my niche. And now a journal isn't going to work for everybody's niche, but it could give you an idea like, oh, journals are working. Maybe I should sell one, and do a print on demand version of that. And some of you aren't doing print on demand. Some of you are doing, physical products that you could actually replicate some of this stuff. That's great. But it's really just getting ideas. Then here would be for something for Tennessee football. Now, obviously you got to be careful because if you're going to use logos, you're going to use any of that stuff, you can't do it. I don't think they're doing that here. I can't tell by the thumbnail.
It looks like they did a great job of skirting trademark and copyright with this. They even broke up like Tennessee and Knoxville, and it's like, okay, yeah, we'll go with the orange dog, right? Like the UT colors, but on a dog. So you could get away with this potentially.
And, I mean, it looks like it's doing pretty good. 3 months old. 946
sales.
Yeah, 380 monthly sales.
Scott, one thing I like about this approach, if you're looking to add things into the store, because you can just launch a bunch of random things, but the thing that's nice with this product research approach that we're going through right now is you can use this if you have a niche and you're looking for additional products, like you were just saying, but you can also use this to find a high value niche. And looking at this, right, like 4 or 5 of these were pet, 4 or 5 of these were relationships or wedding. And so just scrolling through here, we can start to see where there are repeat things. And that then starts to tell us what a good niche is. And if we start to see that pattern, there's another filter that we can layer on here, which is under that product tab, that furthest left column. And we can say include something like pet or relationship or wedding. And then that will filter even further. So if you start to see a trend or you already have a niche and you want to see what products you've missed in your niche, you could add that filter on top of this. And yes, we're going to go from 3,500 or whatever it was down to a much narrower set. But it's a great way to do a sanity check and say, look, I don't have these things, right? We went from 2,600 after we added in that latest round of filters down to 70, but all of these are going to be hyper niche related. So if we're in the relationship niche or we're in the wedding niche, now all of these are things we should probably have in our shop before we go launch some random things, assuming all of these are relevant and somebody didn't just shove wedding into the keywords in the titles or into the tags, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, so this is a great example, Chris. I'm glad you did that because we started, you saw at the top where we were like anything goes, right? Then we started to filter down, right? And if you guys are just coming in or you're watching this or you skipped ahead or whatever, we're using Everbee. It's the app version. So you literally will just go on your web browser or your browser, and then you will go into the app. It's not a Chrome extension. It's the actual app. And this is something I've been talking a lot about lately because it's a huge advantage now to be able to do this because you're sifting through a lot of data very, very easily with using these filters. And if you guys want to try Everbee, if you haven't tried it yet, definitely recommend it. We are affiliates. You will buy us a cup of coffee. If you go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, you can sign up over there and you can give it a try. And yeah, I would definitely recommend that. So yeah. And if you guys need help with that, we can help you out with that because we got where is that link, Chris? Is that up there? There it is. Yeah. So just if you want to go there, brandcreators.com/Everbee. All right. And so just kind of getting back to, so the other thing I want to point out here is if like, let's say that you are in the wedding niche and you're like, I want to find some additional products. It's a good idea to do that because if you do, you're able to now have someone potentially buy more, right? You're going to have someone that's not just going to buy the cufflinks. They're going to buy that and something else for the father of the bride, right? So now they're going to add those together. And now what's really cool is Etsy has been adding the bundle feature, which has been really, really helpful. So that's what we want to always be thinking along those lines. So Chris, I'm going to say right now, we actually plugged in the wedding, but if we took this out of here right now, I could say we found more than our 3 products, but let's just say that we want to go, okay, we're going to find one out of this. And we did a lot of explaining here, but I literally logged in here, did this little filter check, and I can come in here right now and go, okay, that's a winner, right? Why is that a winner? Well, let's pull this up here. It's selling for $36. It's sold $329 in a month. It's doing way more than I shot for $3,000, and here we are at $9,000. So this one product, profit wise, could be $2,500 to $3,000 if they're doing a 30% margin, right? And so that's pretty good. And the crazy thing is, it's only 5 months old, and the shop age is 12 months old. So we just do you guys realize the power in that right there? We just, instead of you just going randomly on Etsy and going like, trying to find stuff that's selling, like you're like, I don't know, witchy, witch shirt, like, let me see. Right. And then you type it in and then you get everything. Like, how do you know? Coming here, we literally came in and zoomed right in. It actually took us a little bit longer because we started broad instead of us starting in our own niche. And now we're finding only listings that are 18 months or less that are hitting the target numbers that we want to hit. Okay. And this is a perfect example because the shop is 12 months old. It's got 239 listings. It's got 2,718 reviews. It's got 15,612 sales. Okay. And if we go directly back to this, we've got this one shirt. Okay. That's doing well. All right. Now, this shop, it says iShirt Lab, probably doesn't just sell witchy stuff. So what I would do is I'd find more of the witchy stuff and then keep drilling in and finding other sellers that might be doing exactly what this person's doing. They're just selling random shirts. And then you're like, I'm going to pull that one shirt out of their library and I'm going to try to create my own version because they proved it to me. Right. And then you're going to find another one and you're going to plug it in. It's just, you're building your product line by other people basically proving that that works, and because it's such a young shop. Anything you want to add to that, Chris?
Yeah, and I think there's two ways that we can start to expand that out. The first is by coming in here and drilling down using the additional filters like what's included in the name. The other way to do that is to look at the shop. Now, in that case, I'm willing to bet that they are a t-shirt store, just given the name. Yeah. So we don't necessarily want to go that route. Sure. But rather than starting at Etsy search, using something like Everbee makes a lot more sense, because what we don't want to do is use the spaghetti at the wall approach, right? Even if we are a t-shirt shop, which you and I are not fans of, right? We'd much rather come at this from the niche-based level. I still want to know what t-shirts are working, right? And I can't just go to Etsy and assume that because something has 10,000 searches a month from my keyword research tool, that it's selling. We need to understand what the sales data actually looks like. And Everbee gives us a much closer look at that. And so if we start with something like, let's look at new listings that are doing well, which is what that 18-month filter does. And how do we define well? You can set whatever range you want, but we want to make at least $1,000 a month from this listing, if not a little bit more, which is how we got to that $3,000 to $10,000 range. Yes, then we're only looking at 26 listings. But when we start to expand out, then we can find either the niches that are working well, which here we're seeing like relationships, pets, right? Like I mentioned a minute ago, or the products that are working well that we could turn around and apply to our niche. Hey, here's a really cool matching t-shirt. I never thought about doing a matching t-shirt for my wedding niche before. So maybe we don't do cars, but maybe we do puppies, or maybe we do, like what's a matchy thing for the relationship niche, right? I'm with her, she's with him. Some of those kinds of things, or she's with me, whatever, right? Like the arrow t-shirt type of deal. And so if we start to look through this, this is a great place to come for ideas, but it's very easy with a few more clicks to come up with 10, 20, or 30. And like we said a minute ago, Scott, if we just type wedding in here, we could find 70 potential ideas that we all know are not just singles or doubles, but are home run potential products for us. Mm. And the reason that I'm a big fan of that, we've mentioned this a few different times, I'm a big fan of launching as few products as possible to get you to your number. Why? Yep. One, it makes your life a heck of a lot easier. If you had one product, you probably don't want to rely on that forever. But if you have two or three that are that stable basis, you are not going to get overwhelmed with, where did I put that stupid design? How many pages of things do I have in Printify? Scroll. Oh, there it is. Wait, no, that's the one with the Phillies on it, or whatever it is, right? And so if we have 3, 5, 10, let's call it 50 that really get us to that number, even if we're not getting $1,000 on each of these products, which all of these have the potential to do, and we know that they do. When it comes to the fulfillment and order management and customer service side of this, our lives are a heck of a lot easier than if we had 500 or 5,000 products, which is a lot of times what you end up seeing, because people either go with the spaghetti at the wall approach, or they go with the, I have a niche, but I'm going to launch every possible product under the sun for that niche without doing this step. You and I, in 20 minutes, let's call it, found 70 potential ideas for the wedding niche, right? Is there any reason not to launch all 70 of those before you just start coming up with things off the cuff? The answer to that is no. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no. I mean, you gotta drill in a little bit deeper, before just like, again, spraying that at the wall. But it does allow you to really narrow it down. So it's like almost like you took a collection of products that have been proven to sell, but you have to start going now down the list of like, okay, what ones do I feel like I could create myself? And then also, which ones do I think would go well with other things that I want to offer? So yeah, I think you can get overwhelming too, because you can find a lot of products, but then it's a matter of like, which ones should you launch?
Mandy said, what about handmade? This is cool for print on demand, but what about handmade? The same process applies.
Yeah.
Right? there's not a huge difference because you need to just look at what's selling and then decide if you can make it or not. That's the only added layer. The other thing I would say is there's no reason you can't do both. So if you have a good shop and you're selling well with something in handmade and that's really your passion and you want to bolt on a little bit of revenue, there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with having a few print on demand products as long as you're happy with their quality. How do you know if you're going to be happy with their quality? Order a sample, right? And if you're happy with the quality, you're happy with the way that it comes out, there's no reason you can't have both in your store. And I would say, Scott, there's actually 3 things you could have in your store because you can add some digital products in there as well if it's applicable to your niche and it's something that you want to play around with. But you shouldn't just launch random things. If you see something in your niche and you say, I'm a handmade store, unless you're a handmade R Us, right? There's not really a limitation on the types of products that you can have. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, so let's kind of get into that then. So if we were like, let's say that we went in here and we're like, we make wooden, like maybe wooden shelves or maybe wooden signs. Let's do wood signs. Right now, I wouldn't go that broad. I would want to go like wedding wood sign, but let's just go and see what happens. Okay. So we just did that. Our filters are still in there, right? $3,000 to $10,000, $25 is the minimum price. And then if we go across here, let's see here, we had the shop age. Let's see here. Where are you? There we go. Right there.
Yeah. Right.
It's all the way over. There it is. 18 months. And the listing age, we have that at 18 months as well. Okay. So everything's stuck. All we did was we just changed wood signs. Okay. So then we can come down here and go, oh, okay, let's see. Pet memorial. Okay. Maybe we can create those. Then you have Mr. and Mrs. That's in the wedding. And then we have here, that it looks like a love story. Kind of, I've never seen those before. That's interesting.
That's a timeline. That's a really cool idea, actually.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Custom wood flag with your logo. Another wedding, so we can just keep going down the list. Now it did narrow it down. If you notice wood signs, I'm only getting 8.
Let's just look at wood. I'm curious to see, because if we have the equipment to make wooden signs and we find that limiting for some reason, which Scott, that was actually a really good example of where we're seeing multiple products that are doing very well. There were 2 of those pet memorial things from different shops that were both in that criteria, which tells me if I'm making something from wood or I have a pet shop, might be something I want to try to add in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is interesting. A custom personalized wooden tea set toys for kids, right? That's interesting. Then here we are with the pet memorial.
Great shop name, by the way. Confetti Juju.
Yeah. Personalized cutting board, wedding gift. Okay. Let's see. Okay. There's a handmade, leather pouch for the knife. Another pet memorial. Another is that a name? Growth chart. Little growth chart. There you go. Personalized large wooden kids letters. That's interesting, right? That's not print on demand. There's another set right there, right? And I mean, they're doing, let's go over here real quick. They're doing, it's a $35 product, $3,800 a month, right? So pretty good. 112 monthly sales. Here's these other ones, $3,000. But see, now if we didn't put the numbers in here, we would have gotten stuff that wasn't really selling or that might be selling $100 a month. We only want to see the ones that are succeeding at our numbers, right?
Right.
That's what we want to do. So that's what we would do there, just to kind of drill down. Is you're just playing here, but it's taking all of the listings that are in this database and it is literally sifting through by you applying these filters, which I think is crazy because it's so much data that it's got to go through. And it's pretty quick, honestly. It's pretty quick. So let's drill in to another one here, Chris. And I think, let's see. Is there something that anyone put in the comments that we could play around with?
Let me get back up to the niche conversation.
I thought I saw Christian.
Christian was another good one.
Okay. Same numbers. I threw the same numbers in there. So we have looks like sweatshirt for engagement. Then we have here, Bible verse jar. There you go.
Okay. So for people asking about handmade, how easy is that to make?
Yeah.
Right? Like Yes, in this case, it looks like they're engraving the top of that, but the rest of that is like, can you buy a jar? Right? So even if it's not the craft or the thing that you love, if what you're selling is a handmade product and it makes sense for the niche, this is a really easy thing to add on.
And if we look at the shop name, Chris, it looks like that's what they're doing, like Grace, Glory, Praise, right? 9 months old, 34 listings, 150 reviews, 849 sales.
Scott, hit analyze shop for me real quick there.
I got to share that instead. So hang on a minute.
I'm just curious because they have 34 listings. I'm curious what else is working for them.
Yeah, hang on. Not letting me get there. Hang on. Let's say share that instead. Okay, cool. Can you see that, Chris?
So they're doing about $7,200 a month. Okay. Yeah. Averaging 25 sales a listing, which is not as high as some of the other ones that we've seen, but it's not bad. This is a 9-month-old shop. And it looks like the thing that's absolutely dominating for them is that jar.
Yep. It's not great, but it's another little product that they got there, and it's a new shop, right? So it's like, yeah, and they got stickers, right? So they're adding stickers. I think they have an opportunity for shirts, right? So that would be like a shirt thing that you would want to do. Here it is. She's Strong sweatshirt. Got a candle, some earrings. So yeah, I think they have a lot of potential, but they're new. They're 8 months old and they're doing well on that one product, but I would build off of that product for sure. Without a doubt. So let me switch back over here. There you go, guys. There's another product we found. That one there took us less than 10 minutes, right? It was like, oh, let's go look at Christian stuff. Boom, bang. There we are. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we already had the filters applied. But if we go back here, it's very simple. You just come in here, you say, okay, my max price, I want to set it at $25, or maybe yours is going to be $30, right? If we change this to 30, what does that do? That brings us down to 15 listings now. Okay.
So which is interesting because the other one was only 21, right? So it doesn't really bring us that far down.
No.
No. To make an extra $5 or more. Yeah.
So here we are. How lucky are we? Hoodie. Then we've got here, funny, that was Halloween. And then we got here, God is greater than the highs and lows, embroidered. That's a hoodie. If the stars were made, so these are all Christian based. So that's what we're looking for, right? So that's just from doing that and doing this, monthly revenue, 10,000 to 3,000. And then let's keep scrolling over here. And then we're looking at you can even do variation. There's so many different settings you can do, but I wouldn't even play with all of them. I would play with just the shop age, is what I would be most interested in. That's why I set it that way. And it's probably lagging a little bit because we're doing this here, live. So the listing ages are here, but we did the shop age. So that's going to make it where the listing is going to be within that parameter.
Well, and I know the question we're going to get is, well, why didn't you put a listing age on it? Well, because we know if the shop is newer than 18 months,
exactly,
all the listings are newer than 18 months. If we wanted to get really nitpicky with it, we could add a listing age on here and say anything within the last 6 months. But if we're doing that, I don't necessarily care as much about the shop age, because if it's a new listing, that's also relevant. But we want to know the shop.
We can do that though. We can go, okay. Oh, that's reviews. Crap. I didn't want to do reviews. I wanted to do listings.
Maximum of 6 reviews.
Yeah. So here we are. Right. So we just did that by, fixing that up there. And we've got this necklace. We've got this sweatshirt. We've got that one there. We wouldn't count. This one here, we've got a nativity set. This here, we've got Jesus walking on water canvas. Then here we've got those sweatshirts. So that one's interesting. I'm going to click over here.
Was that the same pattern? That looks very similar to what that other shop had on their keychains, that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of interesting.
That's selling for $63. That's an expensive sweatshirt.
So Scott, we get this question all the time. Okay, I see a sweatshirt, I see a t-shirt. There's no way I'm ever going to make money on it. $63, right? Like they're making money on this sweatshirt. They're not trying to sell it for 18. They know what they have. And they know that this is a niche-based store, right? Faithful Love Gifts. I'm willing to bet this is a faith-based gifting store, right? So we have the Christianity angle here. 16 months old. They've done 2,900 sales, 460 reviews, and 47 listings. So it doesn't look like they have a bunch of home runs, but they have at least one or two things that are doing pretty well for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great. So, I mean, there's another one, right? So we just literally found 2 products for the Christian niche that you could launch. You could, if you wanted to do the mason jar thing, if you wanted to do a hoodie like that we just showed. And I mean, you can just keep going and you can go, okay, is there something we can do here with Jesus walking on water? Maybe we can do something there, even with some AI art. I don't know. You know what I mean? So we can play around with all of this stuff. And again, we can play around with more settings if we want to. We can say, okay, well, you know what? We're okay if we sell something for 25. Let's see what that does. Okay, well, now we bumped it up to 12 listings instead of 7, right? This one here looks like more for the holidays. This one here, okay, that's religious sweatshirt. That one's $28. All right. And that one there, if I click on that one, let's click over. That's 2 months old. 2 months old. It sold $6,664 is the monthly estimated revenue. Total sales 328 and 214 monthly sales, 31 reviews, 731 favorites. It's converting at 45.87%. So whoever's looking for a religious sweatshirt is landing on here and buying it pretty much. So that what that
all
means,
of them.
guys, is
Yeah.
for 100 people that come to this listing, almost 46 people buy it. That's a really high conversion. Now, I don't know. Are they sending their own traffic there? I don't know. Because that seems super high.
It's about 9 times higher than normal. Not that that's a bad thing. And we'd want to look at this listing. Obviously, it seems to be a t-shirt store given the name. But it's definitely something we want to take a look at. And it's not something, Scott, that's seasonal, right? A lot of times you may put this filter on and say, okay, 2 months. Oh, it's about Christmas, or oh, it's about Halloween. And they had existing shop traffic or whatever. But in this case, even if they had existing shop traffic, this is an evergreen thing. There's no reason for people to be buying this right now necessarily. Because it's not like they're trying to get this before Christmas, right?
Exactly. I think the other thing to pay attention to too, this is the other thing that Everbee gives us. And by the way, guys, if you guys are not using Everbee, we're going to have a little shameless plug here. Definitely check it out. You can test it for free, but if you want access to all of the data, there is a growth plan. If you go to brandcreators.com/Everbee, again, that's brandcreators.com/Everbee. You should see it pop up on your screen. If you go to that, you can sign up. And if you do go through that link, you'll buy us a cup of coffee and we appreciate it. But you get this stuff too. Like the tags are built right in here of what they're using. So you might look at it and go, oh, Christian apparel. I'm not using that. Oh, Bible verse top. I'm not using that. Faith apparel. Not using that. Maybe religious sweatshirt. Maybe I should get scripture shirt. Okay. Christian gift. Okay. So I'm getting ideas without me just sitting here staring at the screen going like, what else could I put in there for a tag? Right. I'm getting intel, right, from this. And that's super important. And it's also, it can give you other ideas for other products potentially, right? Like a scripture shirt. Maybe you're going to do more of a shirt that's not just like 2, words. It might be a full scripture, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try those, and I'll give them a shot, or maybe I'll research those. Maybe it'll lead you in the research, the researching that particular item, right? Or that particular search, because these are technically search. That's what people are searching for. That's your keywords. And it can help you pop up for when someone's looking for that. They do say, Etsy, that is, that tags matter. It matters for SEO and it matters for your Etsy ads, because they literally tell you in there, if you're not using certain tags, they're going to recommend some tags for you. So they clearly work.